Folks, it's only been half a month into 2026. And the US is already in a frenzy, one major event after another, each sending shockwaves across the globe. From the upheaval in immigration policies to fierce political clashes, unresolved economic issues, and even public health emergencies. It's all happening at breakneck speed. Today, I'll break down every detail of these developments for you, whether you're planning to move to the US, following international affairs, or simply seeking the latest updates. This post delivers all the essential information in one place, presented in down-to-earth terms. You won't find any stiff official jargon here. First up, the most explosive immigration policy shift affecting citizens from over a third of the world's nations. When the Associated Press broke the news on January 14th, the immigration community was sent into a frenzy. The U.S. State Department abruptly announced an indefinite suspension of visa processing for immigrants from 75 countries. Effective January 21, 2026. This is no minor adjustment, it's the most aggressive tightening of immigration policies since the Trump administration took office. With fewer than 200 countries worldwide, this suspension covers over one-third of them. For citizens of these nations, obtaining a U.S. immigrant visa is now completely out of reach in the short term, raising the bar for settling in America to an all-time high. You might be wondering, which 75 countries are included? Here are some key examples: Somalia, Russia, Afghanistan, Brazil, Iran, Iraq, Egypt, Nigeria, Thailand, and Yemen, essentially spanning multiple regions across Asia, Africa, and Latin America. The U.S. State Department has issued a strict directive to all embassies and consulates. No immigrant visas may be issued until the entire visa processing system is re-evaluated. However, there's no need for excessive alarm, as there's a crucial exception. Tourist visas, B2 visas, and temporary work visas are exempt from this suspension. Therefore, those planning a simple trip to the US or overseas fans intending to attend this year's World Cup can rest assured their travel plans remain unaffected for now. So why the sudden tightening of policies? According to internal State Department memos, the core objective is to overhaul visa screening procedures, focusing on applicants who may become a public charge in the United States. Put simply, the U.S. government aims to prevent immigration by individuals with poor economic conditions, health issues, or potential long-term reliance on the U.S. welfare system. The new regulations also grant consular officers greater discretion. Reviews will no longer follow a rigid checklist approach but will instead comprehensively evaluate applicants based on factors such as health status, advanced age, English proficiency, ability to financially support oneself, and potential need for long-term medical care. Several points warrant particular attention. Applicants who are older, overweight, or have previously received government cash assistance or institutional support may face immediate visa denial. This policy didn't emerge in a vacuum. Two key events triggered it. First, in late 2025, an Afghan man shot and killed 2 National Guard members in Washington, D.C. Following this incident, the Trump administration began considering stricter visa restrictions. The second was the recent exposure of a large-scale welfare fraud case involving Somali immigrants in Minnesota, involving particularly large sums of money. This firmly resolved the government to tighten immigration-related policies, leading to the significant announcement of suspending visas for immigrants from 75 countries. Regarding welfare fraud among Somali immigrants, one cannot overlook President Trump's recent hardline speech in Detroit, Michigan. During his roughly hour-long address at the Detroit Economic Club, he summarized the administration's economic achievements over the past year and specifically highlighted naturalization issues. He explicitly stated that the federal government would implement a policy of revoking citizenship and mandatory deportation for those who fraudulently obtained U.S. citizenship. This is a significant statement, meaning that if fraud is discovered during the naturalization process, even if citizenship has already been granted, it could be revoked, and the individual would be deported back to their country of origin. Trump elaborated in his speech, regardless of whether individuals hail from Somalia or other nations, anyone who obtains citizenship through naturalization but is found to have committed fraud, especially those who immigrated with the intent to engage in robbery, fraud, or harm, The interests of American taxpayers will first be detained according to the law. After serving their sentences, they will be directly deported back to their countries of origin. He specifically singled out the Somali community in Minnesota, noting that in recent years, multiple large-scale welfare fraud cases involving substantial sums have occurred there, becoming a significant burden on federal finances. He emphasized that this is not a problem unique to the Somali community. Similar situations exist in many places across the United States, involving a wide range of people. He even suggested that effectively curbing such systemic, large-scale fraud could help the U.S. achieve budget balance, underscoring how seriously he views this issue. To implement this policy, Trump announced two specific measures. First, halting federal funding to Minnesota. Second, freezing all welfare programs for undocumented immigrants. His rationale was straightforward: prevent the continued misuse of U.S. public resources and ensure taxpayer money isn't wasted on those who violate the law. However, this policy has sparked considerable controversy. Some view it as a necessary governance measure, while others fear it could fuel racial discrimination issues. Its implementation will require ongoing monitoring. Moving beyond immigration and naturalization, let's discuss a particularly dramatic incident: Trump's visit to a Ford Motor Company plant where he reportedly clashed with employees. Footage of the incident quickly went viral, sparking widespread public debate with diverse perspectives. That morning, Trump visited the Ford Motor Company plant in Dearborn, a facility that's no ordinary factory, producing Ford's best-selling F-150 pickup truck and serving as one of the company's core manufacturing sites. While touring the production line accompanied by Ford Executive Chairman Jim Farley and CEO Jim Farley, a worker suddenly shouted, "Pedophile protector." This statement was clearly an allusion to the government's handling of the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein's case, constituting a rather sharp accusation. Upon hearing this, Trump immediately lost his temper, turning around to tell the employee "you" twice while flipping him off to express his displeasure before continuing onward. White House Communications Director John Jenksy later confirmed the authenticity of the video, stating that the employee had lost control and initiated the verbal attack against the president. He defended Trump's response as appropriate and clear. It was later revealed that the protester was Sabra, a 40-year-old production line worker affiliated with the W Local 600 at the plant. Ford Motor Company swiftly responded by announcing Sabra's suspension and launching an internal investigation. In an interview, Sabra stated he is politically independent, never voted for Trump, but had previously supported other Republicans. He estimated his distance from the president was about 60 feet, roughly 18 meters, and was confident the president clearly heard his voice. He expressed no regret over his outburst but admitted concerns about potential political retaliation. Surprisingly, 2 fundraising pages were created in Sabra's name shortly afterward, raising over $500,000 in a short time. Sabra stated the donations would cover rent, groceries, and potential legal fees. Moreover, the United Auto Workers Union promptly issued a statement pledging to protect Sabra's rights as a union member, emphasizing that workers should not endure vulgar language or behavior from anyone. Interestingly, during his tour of other factory areas, some workers approached Trump for photos and cheered him on, revealing sharply divided opinions among plant employees. This incident indirectly reflects the current political polarization in the United States, where even within the same factory, people's political stances can be completely different. Beyond the factory conflict, Trump recently made another major announcement, cutting off funding to states and cities that implement sanctuary policies. He explicitly stated that starting February 1st, the federal government will cease providing federal funds to these sanctuary states and cities. This decision is widely interpreted as the White House exerting strong pressure on local governments, signaling an escalation in conflicts over immigration policy. For those unfamiliar with the term sanctuary city, here's a brief explanation. U.S. law lacks a uniform definition for sanctuary cities, but generally refers to governments that restrict cooperation with immigration and customs enforcement (ICE). Simply put, these local governments do not proactively assist ICE with immigration enforcement and may even provide some protection to undocumented immigrants, making them a thorn in the side of the Trump administration. A list released by the Department of Justice last year identified 36 such states, cities, and counties, predominantly governed by Democrats. These include California, Connecticut, New York, as well as major cities like Boston, New York City, and Baltimore. When announcing this policy, Trump was resolute, stating the federal government would no longer foot the bill for these sanctuary cities and states. In his view, their refusal to cooperate with immigration enforcement effectively shields criminals, ultimately harming law-abiding U.S. citizens. He further argued that sanctuary policies fuel fraud, crime, and violence. When pressed by reporters about specific programs affected, Trump only responded that the scale of funding involved will be enormous. He later took to social media to harshly criticize, "Sanctuary policies are a breeding ground for corruption and crime. If state governments choose to accept illegal immigrants, they must bear all the costs." However, this funding cutoff threat faces significant legal hurdles. Those familiar with U.S. politics know that during his first term in 2017, Trump twice attempted to cut federal funding for sanctuary cities, only to be blocked by the courts. Last year, he again pushed similar measures via executive order, only to be halted by a federal judge in California. So while the rhetoric is strong this time, whether it will actually materialize remains uncertain. However, the federal government has already taken concrete actions in certain areas as a warning shot. For instance, the Department of Agriculture warned that states refusing to provide data on Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program recipients could face deductions in administrative funding. Last week, the Department of Health and Human Services also announced the suspension of child care subsidies to 5 states governed by Democrats. Yet these measures were promptly blocked by courts, highlighting the intense tug-of-war between federal and state governments. Legal battles are inevitable. Moving beyond immigration and politics, let's turn to the economy. A case with trillions of dollars at stake remains unresolved: the lawsuit challenging the Trump administration's tariff policies. The U.S. Supreme Court did not announce its ruling on January 14, meaning this policy, which could impact the global economy, will remain in limbo for at least another week. The court did not specify when the next ruling will be issued, but following precedent, it will likely disclose the latest developments during the next session, scheduled for either Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. The core dispute in this case is clear: can the president, under the 1977 International Emergency Economic Powers Act, unilaterally impose tariffs on large-scale imports without congressional approval? The Trump administration argues that the U.S.'s persistent trade deficit constitutes a national emergency, granting the president as the nation's highest leader the authority to implement tariff measures to protect national interests. Opponents contend that major decisions involving national finances and international trade, such as tariff impositions, require congressional approval. The president cannot unilaterally decide such matters, as doing so would violate the spirit of the U.S. Constitution. This dispute stems from the Liberation Day tariff policy announced by Trump on April 2. This policy is no simple matter. It imposes tariffs ranging from 10% to 50% on most imported goods. Furthermore, the administration specifically levied additional tariffs on Canada, Mexico, and China under the pretext of combating fentanyl smuggling. Upon its introduction, the policy drew global attention and opposition, with many businesses facing significant operational challenges due to increased tariff costs. Currently, the U.S. Supreme Court holds a 6-3 conservative majority, which should theoretically favor the Trump administration. However, during oral arguments last November, multiple justices expressed skepticism about the government's legal basis for imposing these taxes. This uncertainty means that if the court ultimately rules the policy unconstitutional, it would become the most significant legal challenge Trump has faced since returning to the White House. Should an unfavorable ruling occur, the federal government would be required to refund over $130 billion in collected tariffs, a substantial sum. Moreover, over 1,000 companies have already filed nearly 900 lawsuits with the U.S. Court of International Trade, demanding tariff refunds, including prominent firms like Costco, El Ariel, and Rui Pu. These companies are so proactive because the tariff policy has significantly increase their import costs and severely squeeze their profits, prompting them to seek legal recourse to recover losses. Trump himself has repeatedly voiced public concern over the potential ruling outcome. He stated that losing the authority to impose tariffs would deal a heavy blow to the U.S. economy, particularly in such a critical case involving national security. An unfavorable court decision could lead to severe consequences for America. However, the final outcome remains uncertain, pending the Supreme Court's ultimate judgment. Amidst the tumult surrounding these policies and lawsuits, another alarming development has emerged in the U.S. public health sector. California is grappling with an outbreak of a super flu variant that has already claimed the lives of 2 children. The California Department of Public Health confirmed this on January 14, designating this highly aggressive strain of influenza A as a super flu and maintaining heightened vigilance over the epidemic's progression. Infectious disease expert Dr. Gandhi stated in an interview that this novel strain, designated subtype K, is highly unusual. It spreads significantly faster than regular flu and is more virulent, causing infected individuals to experience pronounced discomfort with symptoms far more severe than typical influenza. More concerning is that existing flu vaccines may not fully cover this strain, posing a risk of inadequate vaccine protection. This implies that even individuals who have received flu vaccinations may still become infected, with a higher probability of developing severe illness. Some may wonder, what exactly are the symptoms of this super flu? While some symptoms resemble those of regular flu, their severity is on an entirely different level. Common manifestations include sudden high fever, often rapidly rising above 39 degrees Celsius 100 to 0.2 degrees Fahrenheit, accompanied by chills, severe coughing, potentially leading to difficulty breathing, intense throat pain making swallowing difficult, nasal congestion, headaches, extreme fatigue, and widespread muscle aches so severe that getting out of bed is challenging. Particularly in children, this virus is more likely to cause gastrointestinal symptoms like vomiting and diarrhea. Many children experience dehydration due to vomiting and diarrhea, making their condition more critical. Just 1 week ago, Santa Clara County south of San Francisco reported the first pediatric death of this flu season. At the time, the severity of the outbreak was not yet fully recognized. Yet within a mere week, a second pediatric death occurred, and the outbreak continues to spread to other parts of California. According to official data, flu activity across the United States remains on the rise, with most cases this season linked to this new strain. Although the overall rate of flu transmission in California has slowed, the rate of severe illness continues to rise. As of January 13, flu-related hospitalization rates have reached their highest point this season, with 3.8 people per 100,000 hospitalized due to influenza. Even more concerning is that children are significantly more susceptible to this strain, with higher rates of positive test results. Health officials have urgently urged parents to closely monitor their children's health. If a child exhibits persistent high fever, difficulty breathing, or ongoing vomiting and diarrhea, do not delay, seek medical attention immediately. Children's immune systems are still developing, making them more vulnerable to this highly pathogenic variant. Early detection and treatment are crucial to minimize risks. After discussing these pressing matters, let's shift to some practical life tips that can help in health protection, accident claims, and immunity boosting. First, regarding health, whether it's the flu season or everyday minor ailments, finding a reliable medical team is crucial. I recommend the Zeng Murin Medical Team. They possess extensive internal medicine experience, with doctors and nurses offering exceptionally professional yet warm care. The hospital is equipped with state-of-the-art facilities. Even more thoughtfully, they provide both indoor and outdoor waiting areas, comfortable and elegant spaces where waiting for your appointment won't feel tedious or crowded. Additionally, they support remote video consultations. No matter where you are, whether traveling domestically or abroad, you can receive professional medical advice and treatment recommendations via video, along with customized healthcare services tailored to your needs. Regarding accident claims, no one wants to be involved in a car accident while traveling. But if it happens, don't panic. Finding the right lawyer is crucial to maximizing your rights. Jinlishan Law Firm specializes in handling car accident personal injury cases. With extensive experience in accident claims, they can guide you through common pitfalls, such as how to gather evidence, who to claim compensation from, and how much you can expect to receive. Many accident victims miss out on rightful compensation due to legal ignorance. With Jinlishan Law Firm's assistance, you can maximize your claim, earning them the title guardian angels of car accidents. Save their contact number, 6269795658, for emergencies. Finally, regarding immune system enhancement, especially during this period of high flu prevalence and viral mutations, boosting your immunity is crucial. Which of the Trump administration's policies will actually be implemented and which will be overturned by the courts remains to be seen. Meanwhile, California's super flu outbreak demands ongoing vigilance, particularly for families with children, who must take thorough protective measures. Which topic concerns you most? Are you worried about how immigration policies might affect you or your family? Concerned about the global economic impact of tariffs? Or anxious about the pandemic situation in California? Feel free to share your thoughts and perspectives in the comments section. Let's discuss together. If you found today's content helpful, don't forget to like and follow. I'll keep you updated on the latest developments, ensuring you don't miss any critical information. See you tomorrow.